Thank God you're here. If it had been just about 10 seconds later, we would have got to the big band sequence in the middle of Mac the Knife, and once I get to that one, I'm humming, it cannot be stopped. It is a thing that will just occur, and no one wants that. Hi, how are you? Well,
Hi, everybody.
I'm Alistair. Avik to my left is the amazing Marguerite, who is currently trying to kill the Twitch stream with her brain out of a sense of moral outrage.
I have no idea why it's spontaneously all better, but it's spontaneously all better. So let's just accept this chaos in our lives and move on.
And welcome to the show. For those of you who are new, this is normally broken down into three sections. We have an opening monologue, we have a section of a serial story that we will read, and then we have a shenanigan, or indeed, ins. It is a shenanigan this week, but oh, what shenanigan we have for you.
Cross all your fingers and toes, it works, but
Good
yes.
Lord. I do not bust this out often, but this one, folks, is a yawl.
I like Wendy's interpretation. Twitch heard Marguerite was cross with it and very sensibly sorted itself out. That or all the discussion of food. So now you're gonna you're gonna get to listen to my stomach growl while we stream tonight. Won't that be fun?
I'm not saying someone in this office's skin was starting to turn a subtle shade of green, but I'm not saying that.
I wasn't wearing the purple cardigan. What can I say?
Anyway, welcome to the show, one and all. We have folks here from the US, we have folks here from the Isle of Man, we have folks here from York, we have folks here from Escape Artists, we have folks here from the Rusty Quill. You are all welcome. Like I say, what we do is three things. We do an opening monologue, which is like trailers on movies in the before times, which gives you a chance to get situated, get comfy, get your stream snacks, get hydrated, make sure your pets are watered and your plants are fed. Yeah, that. And then we'll do a piece of a cereal. Thank you. I knew you'd pick up what I was putting down. And then we'll do a little piece of a cereal, and then we'll do some shenanigans, and then we'll go to bed. It'll be great. In the meantime, without further ado, I have two things to do. The first is to thank our two extraordinary fan artists this week, Harvey Crow for Silly Eldritch Husbands, and Small and Evil and Large and Also Evil by Alexandra Taylor.
Isn't that a great name? I think the full title was like Small and Evil and Large and Also Evil, but less so in a cuddly way, but I couldn't make it all fit.
Folks, tonight I've seen Peter Lucas as Fozzie Bear fan art, wearing my I'm the Captain shirt. Pretty happy right now, I'm not going to lie.
There's going to have to be a TikTok of that, absolutely.
So, get yourself comfortable, get yourself situated, and prepare for this week's opening monologue, which, as it so often does, comes from our honorary house band, the one, the only, the mighty Mr. Nate Crowley.
Yeah, don't be holding your beverages for this one, folks. Just
Content warning, mayhem.
No. There are content warnings for swears.
Content warning swears, sacrilege.
Yes, literally, sacrilege.
And Nicolas Cage.
Here we go.
How would you explain Nick Cage's bootleg Five Nights at Freddy's movie to a medieval peasant by Nate Crowley? Subtitled, Despite all his rage, he is still just Nicolas Cage, which is the kind of deep-cut Smashing Pumpkins gag, frankly, I'm here for. It's a common, fun thought experiment to imagine how you might go about explaining a television or a phone to a medieval peasant. The prospect is challenging, but feels ultimately achievable through the fundamental commonality of the human experience. The thought of explaining the pending release of a Nicolas Cage film that is legally distinct from the PC game Five Nights at Freddy's, but which is also 100% an adaptation of said game, however, makes me want to burst into tears. There are just so many layers of pop culture context accreted in that concept, so much information that is meaningless without a full understanding of the rest, that I just can't think where to begin. But you know what, let's try. You be the peasant, I'll give it my best shot. First up, we'll pretend you speak modern English, but other than that, you're coming in cold. It is 1323 AD. You are scrubbing the guts off a cabbage, after a wounded brigand crawled into your meagre field to die just before dawn. Suddenly there is a blinding light, which you may well assume is Christ, and you have been transported to a featureless concrete room. I am standing there, with an expression of profound apology on my face, and this is what I say to you. Look, I'm really sorry about this. You will not die here. You will be returned home as soon as you have grasped the truth of what I am about to tell you. It is vital then that you pay close attention to everything I say. You have been taken to a time many years ahead of your own. In this time, we have special pieces of glass, which we can command to show us dreams whenever we please. Some dreams are the same every time, and these are called movies. Some you can change the outcome of by controlling them with movements of your hands. These are called games. Both types of dream are made by people. There is a popular game. In it, you dream you are a man who must guard a hall for 5 nights. Beasts creep around the hall each night trying to devour you. They are statues which have become alive, and they have metal bones inside them. The main beast is a bear called Frederick, and the hall is named after him. If you look upon Frederick or any of his beasts, they cannot do harm to you, but if one approaches you unseen, it will scream most loudly, and you will die in the dream. People experience this dream over and over for pleasure. It is extremely popular with children. This dream is so popular, in fact, that some people wanted to make a version of it that you could not control, a movie. They knew that if they could make this version of the dream, a lot of people would give them gold for it. But making a dream of any kind is complex. Although they keep trying, the people have not been able to make it yet. But then some other people who had made many movies before saw that many people wanted to experience this dream that the first group of people intended to make. However, the Pope forbids us from making dreams called by the same names as any which have already been made by others. Yes, that's right. In Holy Rome, indeed, the very same.
Sacrilege.
Now, you can make a dream which is exactly the same as someone else's, you understand, so long as it has a different name and things in it look very slightly different. And so, the dream made by the second group of people is still about a man who must avoid being savaged by beasts in a hall at night. But in this dream, the captain of the beasts is named William. He is some manner of stout, and the hall is named in his honour. There is also a most frightening ostrich, which is a great bird from a distant land. What makes this dream most exciting to people, though, is that the man who must guard the hall is well known to many. He is called Nicholas, and he is in many dreams. He is always different people, and yet it is always Nicholas. He is beloved for the way that he shouts and screams and laughs. Some people think he is good at being in dreams. Others think he is dreadful at it. But they still talk about Nicholas very often, and they seek out the dreams which feature him. Anyway, next month, on February 12th, people will be able to summon the dream of Nicholas and the hall of William the Beast to their pieces of glass. Usually they would go to a great room and watch the dream together on a huge glass, but there is a terrible plague, and the Pope forbids us from meeting outside of our homes because of it. What's that, friend? No, I cannot say why all of this is important, only that it is. Very well. Yes, you may return to your home now. I need to lie down, to be honest. But here, before you go, please take this special piece of glass, which has been prepared to show you the second dream of the Age of Empires, and that will fuck you right up. Thanks, as ever, to the magnificent Nate.
God bless this man. The dream of Nicholas is such a deep cut. Oh.
It's also just struck me that there are actually 3 undoubtedly awful Nicolas Cage movies coming out at basically the same time that I must see.
Just 3?
This is one of them.
Oh, you realize you're going to make me watch this monstrosity for Valentine's Day, right?
I would never make you watch this for Valentine's Day.
I'm ordering dinner, but then I'll watch it.
Okay, fair enough. There's also Jiu-Jitsu, which is Predator, but kickboxing with Nicolas Cage. I was so happy to see this. I'm going to just come at this straight because this is one of those concepts that you really just need to run and get over the top of. Ghosts of the Shadowland, in which he is a criminal hired to break into the afterlife, to travel 7 days into the afterlife, to retrieve another criminal's family who are being held hostage by the dead.
This is what I put up.
Yes.
Because I love you.
I love you too.
And you buy me chocolate.
And perfume.
And you reach the tall shelves.
And tall things. Seen. Anyway, how's everyone been?
Why don't you show everybody Chungus and we can just have a nice little palate cleanser.
Here's the boy in his comfort bucket.
We are doing some experiments with chungoids because I've been overproofing the last couple. So we did a different experiment and it worked much better and it was very tasty.
Yes, it did.
And Chungus is wearing their bucket today because we don't have a space helmet for him.
And, if you heard a subtle, start your engines there, you are not wrong.
Well, shall we tell the fine chat why it is that Chungus may, in fact, need... I was just about to break into David Bowie. I just barely stopped myself. That was really close. Okay.
What is it, Life on Mars?
Yeah, exactly. This is your fault for showing me the trailer of Life on Mars, which I love you was awful. It's a brilliant concept, but I would rather stab forks into my thighs than watch 70s British cop shows, even pastiche ones.
I know. But, we watched the pilot episode of The Player and a man got kicked in the face by a motorbike. That was fun.
I love John Rogers. That's my excuse. Let's move on.
Okay, so...
Ooh, bread control to Major Bob. Oh, that's nice.
There is a fantastic TikTok going around, which is footage of a astronaut in a manned maneuvering unit doing the "This is Major Tom to ground control" stuff. I thought that was quite good for someone who doesn't sing, by the way.
I was literally reaching for the microphone button to unmute it to tell you how good that was. I'm totally going to make you sing sea shanties now.
Hold that thought. But it's intercut between him and just a completely normal Cap comment on the ground and say what? I'm floating through the door. Yeah, don't do that. Please go back inside.
Like those political videos where there's the guy next door trying to speak into the earwig while he's giving some horrible speech. Yeah, I loved it. It was brilliant.
Quick for science, how tall are you two? I am 6'2".
And I am 5'7". Oh God, I'm terrified to ask now.
And then for some reason that put me within seconds of going, I'm Seymour, I'm Pepe, we're two of a kind. A little bit forward, big bit. Yeah, anyway, we're doing this. This is Marco and the Red Granny by Mo Lafferty, who is a long-term friend of the show, and indeed of us. So long-term, in fact.
We have a hilarious story about this. So let me set the scene while you get this. The hard copy of this novella was it Kickstarted?
Yes, it was.
It was Kickstarted so long ago that Alistair's going to show you something in the dedication page. Well, Compost Witch, bless you for appreciating the part of the stream where we just riff off each other, because I'm back at work now and we actually don't get to talk to each other a whole lot during the day. So on Wednesday nights, this is when we can. So if you can't probably see it terribly well, but in the dedication page, Alistair and I both get little shout outs from Mur, but we get them separately because this book was written before we were a couple. But we had obviously met and knew Mur, which is just hilarious and very sweet.
Just disgusting levels of cute, frankly. So yeah, that's kind of where we are. Do we have any news before we dive in or not?
Well, normally this is where you do the "What's new with you this week," and the answer is Tell the folks what you're trying to accomplish this week.
Okay.
Thanks so much, Arthur.
So, there is a novel, which we've talked about before. I need about 2 months to get it ship-shape so it can start going out to people, and also to fix the other one, which I wrote for NaNoWriMo 10 years ago, and I still have doubts about. I want to get it out and working so it's out of my brain. And to do that, I need to basically try and double and triple up on basically every other job I do, which has been 2021 for me so far. So, the last couple of weeks, I've been trying to do more of the outros for the podcasts, so they're bulked out. I've been doing some more of I've got a list of all the full lid stuff, so I'm trying to write the full lid a little bit ahead of time as well, and all the other things which I do, which is very tiring. It's even.
There's been a lot of midnight oil the last 2 weeks.
It's even more tiring in Hugo season. And it's even more tiring in 3-card Monty Hugo season, which this one seems to be. And that's not a black hole we're going down. because there are months before that ahead in which that will undoubtedly happen.
And because you need to still finish your eligibility post this week, hopefully.
Yes.
Though,
A post which I prefaced last year with, it's the most necessary time of the year.
yeah, exactly. I'm sure there will be plenty of time devoted on streams to discussions of Hugo and various award nomination seasons. But there is one thing we forgot to say, which is this is a Magnus Archives spoiler-free zone. We don't talk about the episode that has hit the Patreon supporters but has not yet hit the public feed. That this week is 192.
But last week,
However, now that 191 has hit the air, even though I haven't listened to it yet because I just finished 179 today, you may now talk about 191.
Combos Witch, thank you. I hear that, and don't worry, I am doing. Yes. Let us talk about the best TMA character, unnamed.
Okay. Gosh, what am I supposed to say about this?
How were you approached? What was your motivation?
Oh, bless you all. You're oh so very, very sweet. What was my motivation? Trying not to make Alex disappointed with me because I'd never done a live directed recording before. Were the beans good? I don't know. I really don't know, and honestly, I don't think she'd care. I should say they'd care. I was never given pronouns, so please do take that with as much liberty as you like. I can't change my voice, but I'm certainly not gendering the character. Should I talk about this? Do people care? I feel like I'm taking up your screen time here.
I don't know, chat that's full of people going, Marguerite, please talk to us. Do you think Marguerite should talk to you?
Look at that stare. Heck yes, we care. Aww. You're also very sweet. Aww. Bless you all. So let me give a little bit of context on this. Alex asked me to do it. He said he had a little tiny bit part character that they wanted to cast, and he offered it to me, which was very sweet. And I was very excited, and that happened like 4 months before I recorded it, which was like 5 months before it was released. So I've been very good about not even hinting about this.
It was before lockdown, wasn't it?
It was very early in lockdown, I believe. So it's been close to 10 months, maybe even a full year between it. Did I enjoy getting to sass the archivist? Yes. That was probably my favorite
Real
part.
quick, by the way, Wendy has said, Alistair, pop off and make a cup of coffee and let Marguerite take the chair. Pop on camera.
Oh, God. Okay, you have to look at my hair. Okay, hold on a second. Let me do this.
Do you want a coffee?
Huh?
Do you want a coffee?
No, I'm good. You're very sweet. This is weird. I'm going to sit in your chair now. Okay. Now I'm on this microphone. Hi, everybody. How are you? How's my messy hair? The money I would give to Sass Johnny in real time. Aw, Captain on the Bridge. Bless you, Zalia. Bless you. So, yeah, I've done lots and lots and lots of narration before and various voice. I live on Zoom now, so this is how I live. Hi, everybody. You know, you just wave at the screen and you go on with your life. I've done lots and lots of voice over, I would guess you would call it, narration style. Kind of like when we did the divorce court Peter Lucas Elias thing. But I've never done directed voice acting before this. And it was really fun and a little bit stressful, I have to be honest. Because I was, it was me and Johnny and Alex. And they're like relaxed and they know how to do the little pauses and they know their characters so well, and I had nothing to work with, but it was fun. I really, really liked it. What is my favorite kind of bean? Probably kidney beans, because it's what I put in my tacos all the time.
Huevos rancheros.
No, huevos rancheros is black beans, or chilaquiles. But, I meant my Cora Coward. I don't know what else to say. It was fun. I don't know what else I can talk about.
Yeah, I think I have to just kind of tell us about Alex. Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm going to totally sideswipe this stream, and poor Alistair's not going to get any screen time today. What was like Alex giving direction?
I just want you to report on my face and how much that I totally desperately care about.
Okay.
Okay.
He's very, very good. He knows technically what he wants. Like, so we have a recording cupboard. It is our airing cupboard, i.e. for non-Brits, that is the closet the water heater lives in. They call it an airing cupboard. Don't ask me why. And ours is lined in hoodies. Like the hoodies live on hooks around the wall to I've hijacked the stream. Sorry, y'all. To absorb sound, to deaden the room, to make it a better recording space. That works really, really well for Alistair, who has a nice, deep, resonant voice, and all of that sound absorbs it. My voice is different, and it echoes around that space a little bit too much, so I had to, like, hug a pillow while I was recording. That was Alex's comment, is, do that to try and stop the vibration in your chest from bouncing around the room. So that was fun, hugging a pillow while I'm holding a book, while I'm trying to relax and spontaneously interact with people. My favorite part about the recording, so I've done 2 scenes. I did the scene in the trailer for part 3 with Annal and Helen and was it Autumn? I think. And we did it a couple different times, and one time when we did it, Alex said, "Don't clap at the end of the poetry reading, we'll put something in." And the second time he said, "Yeah, go ahead and clap and we'll see what it does." And I'm the one who did the golf clap and it stayed. They left it in there, and I was really excited about that because I was like, my character's kind of an asshole. So they're not vibing with the 9,000th time they've heard this particular piece of poetry. So that was really fun. I liked that a lot. That was cool. I did the slow golf clap. Hoodie closet goes with the duvet yurt. Yeah, absolutely. Right next to the blanket fort down the street. Exactly. Mm-hmm. Yes, yikes, Logan. I spend a huge quantity of my time actually professionally being a British to American translator because I am a British qualified lawyer now working for an American company. So that's a lot of what I do.
And one of the weird ancillary benefits of the Biden presidency actually happening is a measurable percentage of your time is now not friends and colleagues going, "Is this illegal?"
Yeah, exactly. Gender of the day, unnamed slow clap. Yeah, exactly. I was asked to give feedback, I think, about what the character should be named. And at the time, there was some possibilities for stuff. And I said I didn't have any strong preference. So I actually didn't know that they'd left the character unnamed until I read the transcript of the Act 3 trailer. And I love it. I love that the character is just unnamed. They're like, no. Very, very sassy, which I liked. That's probably plenty. Should I give Alistair back the camera now so you can actually have the story? It's a really good story. Look what the back says. Arts, patronage, and gladiatorial combat. On the moon. That's what we're reading tonight. On the moon. Exactly. Okay. On the moon. Now we need a on the moon. Okay. Shall we tag in? Do you feel better now that you've let me have some screen time? Thank you very much, Wendy. That was very sweet of you.
I mean, rule 1 is never refuse Wendy anything. And
that's true.
And rule 2 is...
Yes, no. Rule number 2. Rule 3. Profit! Yes, okay. Come read them a moon story. Tag.
There is just one other thing you should know before we get started. About 4 years ago, there was a game show over here called Time Commanders, which had...
God. Oh no, you're going to tell this story, aren't you? Oh,
Jacques Hughes, mon petit fromage.
How is it that you speak 6 languages and French is not one of them? That is a West Wing joke. Let's move on.
Which was basically, I think it was Total War 2, and they got... I love you too. And they got teams in to fight famous historical battles and see whether you could turn it around. Or in a lot of cases, see whether you could fuck right up hilariously. Anyway, they revived it, and a friend of ours on a lark went, I want to apply. And she's amazing, but she's also a little unconfident. So we went, do you want us to come with you? And she was like, yes, God, yes. So
we find ourselves wandering through West London to go audition for a game show.
Because this is the thing that happens to us from time to time. So we come in, and we're interviewed, and it becomes very obvious very quickly that they really like us. And the reason they really like us is because there are 2 women and a guy, whereas predominantly it's been 3 women or predominantly 3 guys. So we get all the way through the interview, and the lady looks at us and goes, okay, one last question, and it's the toughest one. You have a general and 2 commanders here. Who's the general? And completely unrehearsed and completely unprompted, with me on one side of Marguerite and Ever on the other, we both went, her.
They have this on camera. It's hilarious. We were actually asked to be on the show, but the scheduling of it was such that we couldn't all be in Scotland on the day they wanted to film, unfortunately.
So, history remains intact. For now. Anyway.
Shall we read a story?
Let's read a story.
Let's read a story.
And let's read a story that doesn't involve carnivorous stairs or parts of a whale being sawed into a mountain.
Are you sure?
I guarantee nothing.
You promise? All right, we do have some content warnings for the story, everybody.
Which are swearing and blood sports.
That's correct. Nothing terrible. I don't believe anything graphic or even all that descriptive in this section for tonight, but in general, there will definitely be swearing and there will definitely be blood sports.
For the stream notes a couple of weeks from now, I have some truly glorious, terrible space fistfight movies for you.
Because that's an oeuvre we appreciate in this household.
Mm-hmm.
Space fistfight movies. Oh, we should do one stream notes thread where we share other great zero-G fight stories.
Like Zero Boxer.
And Slingers.
Yes.
And a whole bunch of other stuff.
Anyway.
People want to know if there are accents.
Undoubtedly.
Oh, no.
Marco and the Red Granny by Mer Lafferty. Who are you wearing? The scream to the posing starlet draped in deep red silk, even on the tinny selvid, cut through Marco's hangover like an angry rhino slipping on oil. Sycophants, he muttered, fumbling for the mute button on the phone. He rubbed his forehead with his palm, trying to will away the clumsy, dull pain. Goodness gracious, is that Janet Omaha? Who's she wearing? The old woman next to him on the shuttle leaned over, breaking all sorts of personal space rules by putting her hand on his shoulder and breathing Juicy Fruit Loops gum in his face. He winced. No idea, he said. I'd heard they were coming out with an Ernest Hemingway Gertrude Stein line of clothing, 2 contrasting lines, but I think those in House Magenta will be wearing Cory Doctorow now. They're getting into the early 2000s authors, she said. Could you turn it up? Marco sighed gratefully as the attendant chose that moment to turn on the disruptor that forced all electronic devices to reboot. Several people around Marco groaned as their calls or games were interrupted, but Marco stowed his phone with relief. The old woman next to him humphed and started fumbling under her considerable purse to find her seatbelt. Marco's literary agent had cautioned him against space travel while hungover, but what was he going to do? When Mollywood called, said his agent, you hop the next shuttle to ride Lunar Base. So he sucked down his vitamin water before the attendant could do her efficient swipe of the aisles and willed his rebellious stomach to take it like the bitch it was. The trip to the moon was considerably cheaper now the gate was up and running. Before, the 3-day trip would have taken a half year's worth of Marco's day job pay, but now it was cheaper to get to the moon than to fly around the Earth. The airlines had lobbied Earth's government to not allow gate technology within Earth boundaries, and had succeeded in making them available only for off-planet travel. Earth governments had been adamant, no aliens on the home planet, no alien technology taking away human jobs, and no import of alien goods. Marco hadn't planned on heading to the moon that day. He hadn't planned on anything, except for sleeping late and maybe a video game or 2, because yesterday his agent had dumped him. saying that his latest graphic novels weren't getting the notice his previous work had. The only writers selling work these days were the patrons of the aliens who ran the moon colony, the Legion. When fanatic xenophobes had succeeded in keeping the new alien allies off the home soil, the humans had made the moon neutral territory if the Legion would help them set up a base. Since the aliens had already colonized Europa, they accepted the invitation, and so Ride Lunar Base, a massive domed city capable of sustaining 3 million inhabitants, had gone up in 10 short years. What no one expected was the effect the Legion would have had on the creative culture of Earth. The aliens had 7 senses and communicated with 5 of them. Their initial contact with humans had nearly caused neural shutdown, as the humans attempted to process the information assaulting their eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin. But once the Legion had discovered human art, they studied it all. Painting, movies, novels, dance, fashion, gourmet cooking, sculpture, and more. Any way the senses could be massaged, the Legion wanted to know about it. And so, the concept of patronage returned with a vengeance. The aliens commissioning the best and brightest Earth had to offer for their creations. Ride Lunar Base soon earned the nickname Mollywood, as it was where the greatest art, films, and novels hailed from. The Legion had a way of looking at art that was beyond human comprehension. While humans could combine art and writing, movies and music, they had never combined movies and food, painting and ballet, fashion and writing. Humans couldn't make you taste a short story, but the Legion could take a writer and a chef and somehow give a cake an adventurous beginning, middle, and end, or give a romance story a spicy taste. Earth went crazy for these creations, and the Legion took the best and brightest, flew them to the moon, and paid them very well. Marco had watched his contemporaries either get patronage or quit. At first, Marco hadn't even applied for a patronage, thinking secretly that if the best writers went to work in Mollywood, that would leave more room in Earth publishing for people like him, who wrote and illustrated good, but not great, stories. He didn't expect most of art creation to move to the moon, the resulting works more elegant than humans had ever considered possible. Wrapping a novel into a dress was something humans perhaps didn't understand, but they did know that it was the most beautiful dress they'd ever seen, that the ballet contained within jewellery was uniquely moving. Even when the Earth governments had banned the import of Legion goods in order to protect the Earth economy, travel to the moon was cheaper than travel between continents, and it wasn't illegal to buy personal goods there to bring home. Digital files were also allowed, so Legion books, music, and movies were well within the Earth's creative consciousness. Food, clothing, jewellery, sculpture, any other art that took tangible form were legal on a personal import case only. And so, Marco's sales had trickled to a stop. 6 months ago, his agent, Catherine, had informed him that the previous quarter had brought more returns than purchases. He had to face it. Working with the Legion was the only way to go if he wanted to keep going at all. He'd applied for a patronage, but by then, anyone who fancied themselves writers, not just the bestsellers, were applying. And the application centres were said to be 10 times worse than any Earth agent's slush pile. He had very little hope. Until yesterday, Catherine had dropped him, when even that vanished. She was moving to the moon to have direct contact with Legion creators and wanted to revitalise her career herself, and Marco was just not part of that. He had tossed his books into the fireplace and watched them burn, while quietly making a bottle of rum his personal best friend. He had woken up this morning from the phone, a ringtone he now realised he'd paid far too much money for if it was going to wake him up in times like this. "Marco, thank God you're still taking my calls," Catherine shouted. He winced. His agent reminded him of his grandfather. Years of smoking the Legion herb lumen had given her an attractive, odd glow at night, but it also ravaged her voice. But at least it didn't cause cancer, she crowed triumphantly. "I didn't see it was you, honestly," he whispered past his thick tongue. His pardon me. His body was holding an emergency meeting to decide how to punish him for his abrupt waking and exiting of his prone position. The head wanted to explode. The stomach wanted to back up. Negotiations were ongoing. Oh, honest to the last. I love that about you. Her voice had an agitation to it he couldn't remember hearing since he'd signed with her 10 years prior. What is it, Catherine? Need to tell me more stuff about my impending failure? He closed his eyes. The head was winning the argument. No, Marco, no, of course not. I wanted to let you know about the email I just got. You've been called to Mollywood. Marco rubbed his forehead. Why are you still planning my future? You said I didn't have one. The phone crackled as she scraped her long nails over it to get his attention. He hated that. He winced and moved the phone away from his cheek until it stopped. Hello? Marco! Marco! You need to pay attention. A Legion patron wants to meet you. You've gotten the call, buddy. I've got your shuttle ticket, the address where you need to go, and everything. You're shitting me. Marco, I have my flaws, but cruelty is not one of them. Would I call and tell you that Mollywood wants you just for shits and giggles? He tried to think through the fluff in his head. I'm sorry. Catherine, you caught me at a bad time. I fell into a rum bottle last night. Oh, that's not good, love. Travel to Ride Base when hungover is going to suck. That news brought the crushing reality down on him. Wait, what? They want me... No, I can't travel today. He could hear her lighting another lumen. Tickets already bought, love. I'm forwarding it to you now, along with a list of stuff you should pack that I send to all my clients who go to Mollywood. Marco let this information process. So that means I'm your client again. She barked out a laugh. Did you find other representation in the past 12 hours? Marco hated being so easily discarded and then picked back up, but she held all the cards. And the ticket? No. He paused and swallowed bile. And thanks, Catherine. My pleasure, love. And save lunch for me next week. I'm heading up there to look for a place myself. Keep me posted on your Lee Jones situation, will you? Yeah, sure, he said. No, wait, no, hang on. Who's the Legion I'm meeting with? I don't know much about her, just a name. 13 of House Blue. Later, Tater. Have a good trip. The line went dead as she clicked off her phone. 13. It is Li-Jun, but I believe it's Legume now. So
It's legume now, as far as we're concerned.
I'm probably just going to steer into that as the weeks go on, frankly. Chapter 2. Most of the patron Legion houses had their information uploaded to the human web, and while Marco could find a lot out about House Magenta, House Orange, and House Yellow, he found almost nothing about Blue. Now, he was admittedly unschooled on the more detailed information involving Legion patronage and house structures, but he did know that for all their love of the creative arts, their own personal information was closely guarded. No human ever heard a Legion's name. They only knew them by their numeric title within their houses, which were named for colours. The aliens took on numeric titles as they reached maturity. The prime numbers were the ones with the power. Odds were dominant, evens were submissive. The genders made no difference to the ruling parts of a house. The primes, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, were supposed to be the highest ranks in the house. 1 and 2 were usually a main breeding couple, 3 was usually the leader, and 13 had creative control over the house's output. 11 was in charge of security, and 5 and 7 had roles that Marco didn't quite understand. But 13s had creative control. They seemed to be like executive producers in movie studios, very important, but rarely getting their hands dirty. 13s wouldn't vet patronage applications. They likely wouldn't even meet the artists unless they managed to create a hit. Maybe not even then. Marco closed the book, Legion Hacks, the bestseller that illustrated Legion's quick dominance of human creative culture, and laid his head back. The shuttle's engines roared, and he closed his eyes and willed his stomach very hard to stay still. Have you been to Raid Base before? I love going there, the woman beside him chattered, picking a homemade snack mix out of a baggie. She ate all the pretzels first, and Margot decided that for that reason alone, he hated her, because if she made it herself, then why not make it exactly as she wanted? It was also easier to hate her than think about his trip, and how a hungover failure of a writer and illustrator was going to present himself to an alien race he'd long written off as an unattainable goal. I just love Mollywood. Ever since Christopher died, I think I have what you might call an addiction to the most dangerous game. Reality shows. Great. Margot had avoided a lot of Lee Jun creations, but the reality shows were the worst. How could a race that created such fine art also get into reality blood sports? He ignored the woman. But you don't want to hear about an old woman's adventures in reality TV, do you? In reality TV. Marco's eyes flew open. He looked at the woman closer, her blonde grey hair braided and wrapped around her head, her frame heavy set, and her eyes sparkling with just a hint of malice above the merriment. Marco managed to squeak over the roar of the engines. The woman grinned at him. Oh, did I not introduce myself, dear? I'm Heather. My fans call me the Red Granny. Fear and wonder washed over him as the shuttle took off, the G-forces pressing him into his seat. A pretzel snaked out of her baggie and hit him in the ear. This day was too weird. The Red Granny was a legend in the reality show world. One of the stipulations of the Lee Jun's rule of Mollywood meant their laws ran the moon, not any Earth countries. They viewed suffering for the art in a very different and rather more literal way. If an artist's pain or death added to a piece of art, then it was actively encouraged. And the Lee Jun didn't just make fine art either. They valued passion in all forms, going beyond art and getting into sports, reality shows, and the study of humans' willingness to destroy themselves. The runaway hit was the most dangerous game. You could sign away the rights to your life and get flown to Luna fitted with a spacesuit and some weapons and turned out into the lunar environment to battle for your life. Most people who applied for the most dangerous game were ex-cons who couldn't get a job or people who had reached the end of their ropes. Everyone was shocked as a result when a little old lady, recently widowed, volunteered for a position. The Lee Jun were delighted. The audience laid billions of dollars on her early death, and when she calmly, almost pleasantly, murdered all her competitors, she became the darling of Mollywood and Earth. A 3-time champion, she had been assigned a Lee Jun bodyguard for her time on Mollywood, but travelled incognito on Earth. Which is why, Marco guessed, she was flying coach. Once they'd escaped the atmosphere, he turned to Heather, who still munched on pretzels as if the G-forces bothered her not at all, and said, So, are you going up for another game? She nodded. Oh, yes. Yes, I'll be meeting my patron and preparing for the new season. You have a patron? Marco asked, forgetting entirely to marvel at the view of space out of his window. She laughed. Of course I do, silly. Once you win the most dangerous game, you get a patron for protection and funding. Her hand lingered at the pendant that rested on her sweater. As her fingers toyed with it, Marco got a distinct taste of strawberries, and he blinked. He hadn't seen many Lee Jun-created items in his life, and had always wondered how they worked. The pendant was gold and looked quite heavy. It was an egg, about the size of a gold ball, with cracks in the upper half, coming out from a tiny golden beak just about to break out. He peered at it, very careful not to touch it. What is it? What is it combined with? She looked down at the pendant and smiled slightly, as if she hadn't realized she was playing with it. Well, this is a gift from my patron. It is a pendant imbued with the skills of master pastry chef Penelope Abrams. If you touch it, you can taste her chocolate strawberry fool's tart. Marco's face flushed and the headache throbbed even harder. He hadn't expected to hear Penelope's name, although she had been on his mind since he'd gotten the call this morning. He hadn't spoken to her in a couple of years, not since she got her patronage and left for Wright Base. I haven't seen a Lee Jun work before, not this close up. It's beautiful, he managed. The crackling voice of the captain came on and warned everyone to prepare for the jump, and the seatbelt over Marco's shoulder tightened automatically at this warning. "Thank you, dear. Now, I'm going to advise you to get ready for the jump. If this is your first trip, it can be disorientating." She slipped another pretzel into her mouth. Marco closed his eyes, tried to calm his whirring mind, not wanting to ask about Penelope, if Heather knew her, but still wanting to know more about the woman. "So who's your patron? Which house?" Before she could answer, everything stopped. Marco's eyes flew open to see Heather's face elongate slowly. Pain filled his body as it seemed for an instant that half of his molecules decided to jump 1 inch forwards and leave the rest of him behind. A screech filled Marco's ears, then Heather's face snapped back into place. "Ah, we're nearly there," she said. "What the fuck just happened?" Marco said, holding his own head to see if it had returned to its proper shape. He was breathing hard and he heard the sounds of vomiting behind him. "Oh, it's just the jump, dear. Felt like I was being torn apart," he said, surprised for a moment that he wasn't vomiting like the others. "You were, for a moment, but then the rest of you came along. It's disorientating, but it's perfectly safe. You look remarkably fit, actually. Were you drunk when you got on board?" He blinked. "How did you know?" "Alcohol cushions your system. They don't tell you that, of course. Don't want to excite the Alcoholics Guild. Zeus knows they don't need encouraging. Had a couple of glasses of wine before getting on board myself. But I feel fine now. No hangover at all. Oh, sure, the jump takes it out of your system. Purifies you. If only it could scour you clean of illness, it would be a perfect system of travel." Marco took a deep breath, reveling in the sudden removal of the full-body hangover pain, and looked outside. Ryde Lunar Base lay before him, Mollywood's dome reflecting the earth behind him. It was a pearl among the dusty grey of the moon, about 3 miles wide. 3 ports lay at different parts of the city. Marco had done some reading. He knew that Mollywood proper had its own port on the northern edge of the dome, which is where his ship was headed. The other 2 ports had to do with Earth shuttles, imports, and equipment for the continued health of the colony. As they neared the dome, Heather pulled a small mirror and a makeup glove from her purse. She slipped the glove onto her right hand and removed the plastic tips from each finger. Gazing into the mirror, she applied lipstick from the finger and blue eyeshadow from the middle. Her pinky dabbed rouge onto her cheeks, and Marco winced at the garish colour on her lips, but tried and mostly succeeded in staying neutral. The Red Granny didn't miss a thing, though. She smirked at him. "Oh, darling, I know it's loud, but I have a reputation to maintain. No one pays attention to me on Earth, but, well, let's just say that here I'm recognized." "I guess you would be," Marco said, as she stowed her items in her purse. "By the way, love, I never caught your name," she said, extending her hand. Oh, he shook it. "I'm Marco. It's really an honor to meet you. Thank you for answering all my questions." She waved her hand. "It's no trouble. First visit to Ryde Base can be dreadfully overwhelming, especially when you're meeting a patron. Good luck with that. If we meet again, I'll buy you a coffee." Marco nodded and thanked her as the shuttle pulled into port. They waited another 10 minutes for another shuttle to land, and then the massive port doors shut and jets came on to push breathable air into the garage. Once equilibrium was maintained, the passengers were free to exit the shuttle, and so Marco slung his backpack on and waved goodbye to Heather. When he set foot on Ryde Base, it took a moment to get used to the gravity. He swayed a bit, his backpack feeling uncomfortably light. He'd brought very little. The patron had indicated all of his needs would be taken care of, so he'd packed a couple of books, his notebooks, his favourite fountain pen, and an emergency change of clothes. He looked around and caught sight of Heather again, and suddenly realised he'd never told her he was going to Mollywood for a patron. He was about to approach her and ask how she knew when he saw his first alien. Heather stood talking to a tall, wispy Lejeune. This one was male, with 12 tentacles wrapped neatly around his trunk-like body, 2 eye stalks dipping low to pay attention to Heather, while the third fixated on him. Heather saw him watching them and started towards him, motioning the Lejeune to follow her. He glided through means Marco couldn't tell, and wondered if he had a foot like a snail. The alien looked at Marco curiously. "Marco, this is my bodyguard, 7 Blue," she said. The Legion bowed his head. "Marco Guerrero, our newest artist. It is an honor." Pleased to meet you, Marco stammered. He'd been expecting the sensory overload, for it was said even the Legion who held back could communicate using several senses at once, pardon me. He was still surprised by the taste of a thick cream sauce and the feeling of being wrapped in a large fur blanket. He looked at Heather. You didn't tell me House Blue was your patron. Oh, darling, you didn't want to hear about me. So uninteresting, she said. 7 here has offered you escort as well, since we're all going to the same direction. Oh, really? That's very kind of him. You. Yes, that, Marco said, not sure if he should address Heather or 7. Humans usually want to spend time exploring Luna when they arrive here, but I know 13 is eager to meet you, the Legion said in a sleek voice, accompanied by the taste of hot chocolate tinged with chili pepper and an image of a sleeping panther. Great. Lead on then, said Marco. Marco, Heather, and 7 rode the monorail around the perimeter of the dome, heading towards Mollywood and the Legion's private living areas beyond. They had the car to themselves, 7 indicating it was required for the Red Granny's safety. Ride Base's interior was far more colourful than Marco had expected. Many of the buildings within were made of dyed moon rock, the greys covered by yellows and reds and blues. The architecture was astonishing too. Roundhouses, mini domes, glass pagodas, buildings that went deep into the moon and instead of buildings had lush parks spreading on top of them. A full half of the city was underground, it seemed, giving plenty of room for recreational areas and farms. I thought you said you'd be mobbed when you got here, Marco said, staring out the window at the city slipping by. Children playing in a park, taking odd advantage with a low gravity to invent jumping games Marco had never seen before. Heather laughed. Oh, darling, we aren't in Mollywood proper yet. Earth is often referred to all of Ride Base as Mollywood, but it's only actually a third of the colony. If they're not expecting to see me, they rarely do. But tourists in Mollywood are always looking to see if someone is someone. She made air quotes with her wrinkled fingers. When we get out, you can decide if I'm a crazy old lady who thinks too much of herself. How about that? I never said... Marco smiled. Pardon me. I never said... Marco said. She smiled at him, her garish red lips stretching wide and clown-like. I'm poking fun, darling. Don't worry about it. You're a dear to listen to my stories. So if I can ask, Marco said as the monorail dipped into a tunnel, I was under the impression that Legion hired artists, not, well... He was suddenly in an uncomfortable place to describe Heather. Cold-blooded killer didn't seem to fit her, but he didn't know what else to call her. Even though the monorail had interior lights, the mood in their car seemed much darker without the light of the dome. Heather stared into the darkness and with a small smile on her face said, Marco, my darling, you are asking the wrong questions. I would be wondering what a house like Blue wants to do, being a patron to a writer and an illustrator. Marco had to admit to himself that in his limited time to prepare, he hadn't actually read up on House Blue. He knew a little about the patronage program and thought it happened only to creative types. He didn't follow the tabloids or Mollywood news. He was worried he'd hear something about his ex-girlfriend hitting it big. He could see now, although he'd never admit it to Penelope, that his spitefulness may in fact have bitten him in the ass. He swallowed. The Red Granny and 7 Blue watched him impassively. Then she tittered. Oh, darling, I'm not trying to scare you, but you should know that House Blue doesn't, to my knowledge, become patrons to artists. They have other things in mind, besides art. Like? He asked. She waved her hand at him. Oh, it's not my place to say. I'm sure they will tell you everything you need to know. Isn't that right, 7? The alien nodded once and looked into the darkness. 1 minute until Mollywood. Marco followed his gaze into the tunnel. How do you know? Oh, don't bother asking that, dear. They never answer, she said. Surely there's something else we can talk about. She smiled at him, and he realized he was sitting across from one of the moon's most skilled killers. He estimated she had around 40 deaths under her belt at this point. Effortless, easy kills. Marco hadn't seen the show, but even he'd heard about the Red Granny. Could you tell me, well, I wasn't a watcher. I don't know how you... He faltered, unsure of how to say it. She said it for him. How did a little old lady kill all those strong men and women? He shrugged. Well, yeah, sorry. Never saw the show. She pulled a pair of knitting needles out of her purse and with some unknown piece of bright purple fabric hanging from them. Trade secret, I'm afraid, my dear. Maybe you'll watch this season. He nodded. Definitely. The monorail began slowing then, and they pulled into a brightly lit, wide-open station. Crowds crushed against their car, slapping it even as it slid by. They screamed and shouted, waved signs splashed with red paint. Marco really hoped it was red paint anyway, and surged when the doors opened, eager to get at Heather, who sat calmly in her seat. Marco was unsure whether they wanted to worship her or kill her, but Seven stood and spread his tentacles out to span the doorway, blocking the entrance. Step back. Make room, he said, and the crowd immediately fell back, cowed. Marco could understand why. The Legion had not shouted, but along with his words with a sense of a sour, panicked body odour, pheromones maybe, and visuals appeared in his mind of frightened rabbits running from a keen-eyed hawk. Seven swiveled his head around to face them, like an owl. It's safe now. Marco had the feeling of being embraced by a strong, loving mother figure, and immediately relaxed. Heather, the Red Granny, stood and patted her hair. She stowed her knitting and picked up her shoulder bag, and Seven got their larger luggage. Come along, dear, Heather said to Marco, and they exited the monorail. Hostility and frantic desire wafted from the crowd as they walked by, the silent tension making Marco wish they'd turned towards the other cars of the monorail, where the passengers were trying to fight their way through the crowds. Some of the signs said, Red Granny is our saviour, and others proclaimed, how much more blood will she spill? Some of the people had red paint poured over their faces, giving them a gory, gruesome look. Most of those garish people carried signs that called for Heather's retirement from the game. Others just called for her death. Who are all these people? My fans, she replied. They can't all be fans. It looks like some want you dead, he said. Oh, they're the most fanatic of all, she said, looking straight ahead. Come along. Let's go meet our patron. Marco wished he'd paid more attention over the years as the Legion gradually took control of human artistic output. But after Penelope had left him, he had sunk into a depression and turned off the television whenever they were mentioned. He stopped seeing movies, stopped buying books with the special Legion stamp on the cover. Even when he'd applied for patronage at last, he hadn't paid much attention to them. It had been a long shot, after all. Outside the port, Marco assumed to see a great open part of the dome again, Mollywood proper, but was disappointed to see a wide white hallway with electric scooters whizzing to and fro. The Red Granny saw the look on his face and said, We're entering the private Legion living areas. Humans aren't allowed back here if they're not living with their patron. Marco nodded and looked once over his shoulder at the humans clustered around the closing door to get one more look at the deadly little old lady. A walkway rose above the street, and Seven led them to it. House Blue is very close to the monorail station, Heather said. Otherwise they'd have sent a buggy to pick us up. See, we're already here. She gestured to a tall metal door painted gold and blue, with carvings of circles, spirals, and swooping, graceful shapes. Seven opened the door for them. Ceilings in Legion dwellings were much higher than humans, dwarfing Marco and Heather. That, coupled with the two Legion who glided up to them to take their bags, suddenly made Marco feel very, very small. 4 and 8, Seven said, introducing them. The even-numbered Legion nodded to them. Eye stalks pointed to the ground. Heather, you know where your quarters are. Feel free to go rest and acclimate to the gravity shift. Marco, 13 is waiting to meet you. She's most eager, in fact, so if you don't mind going to see her directly. It was a question, but Margot had a clear impression that there was no choice in the matter. He couldn't imagine saying no to these creatures. They were either too charming or too scary, or, frankly, both. He nodded. The hallway was white, like the hallway outside, but dark stairwells painted different shades of blue rose from several open doorways, seeming to stretch into many different parts of an apartment. The hallway ended at a large archway that led to what Margot could only assume was a receiving room. Long couches lined the room with various Lejeune lounging on them. In the centre of the room was a pool set into the floor, out of which flowed a white gaseous substance that snuck along the floor like tentacles. Marco.
Fog room. Fog room.
Welcome to my home. The voice cut through the fog, silken and strong, purposeful, reminded him of his great-aunt Juliet, the CEO of a Spanish winery. He ran through all of the protocol he crammed before the trip, much of it having been instantly erased by the shock of meeting the Red Granny, but he grabbed some random facts he was able to remember. "Number 13, he said, his eyes on the floor instead of on the dominant alien. "The honour is immeasurable, the pleasure intense, and the flavour delightful. Your voice is the sound of exotic spices, your face the tune of great composers, and your aroma is a finely crafted poem. Thank you for inviting me." He hadn't looked at the alien until he said face, and found a much larger Lejeune than number 7. This one was a female, as far as he could tell, with small gill-like slits along her torso under her much shorter tentacles. She watched him. He swallowed, feeling a cold sweat break out under his arms. Had he forgotten something? Had his greeting lacked a strange pairing of a sense or something? The Legion had made no effort to explain to the humans their 2 extra senses, as they said the humans wouldn't understand it, so he couldn't greet them, as they no doubt greeted each other. He did have an insane urge to say, "And your bleam is as red as the swarf," but thankfully he resisted. "The pleasure is mine. I'm glad you can make it," she finally said, and he relaxed a moment, remembering finally that the Legion always waited a moment to appreciate a greeting before they responded to it. "I understand you met Heather on the trip up," she continued. He nodded. That must have been a surprise to find we were her patrons as well. Yes, I hadn't realised the most dangerous game participants had patrons. I thought it was only for the arts. 13 stretched her tentacles out, reminding Marco of a cross between an octopus and a cat. "We become patrons to those who win. The losers are nothing to us. Tell me, what do you know of House Blue?" Marco dropped his eyes again, hoping to avoid insult. "I must be honest, 13. I am not familiar with your house. I am not as schooled in my Legion culture as I should be, and I didn't have time to learn more about your house before I made the journey here." Alien body language meant nothing to him, and the pauses were beginning to make the hairs on the back of his neck stand up. He stayed subservient, remembering his agent's admonishment to be respectful above all else, and not to lose his temper. "No matter," 13 said, rising from her couch. "You will learn much while you're here anyway. Tonight you are my guest at the most dangerous game. We will watch the Red Granny fight. That can tell you more about us than any book could." She placed 2 tentacles on his shoulder, towering over him. "You have much passion, Marco. You will do very well for House Blue." He looked up at her, a sense of calm washing over him. "Thank you, 13. I certainly hope so." Her face changed, her eyes focusing on another Lejeune entering the room. This one was male and much shorter. "Marco, this is 6. He will show you to your quarters. Rest up, change clothes, contact home if you wish. We have full SolarNet integration if you brought your tablet, but you'll want to call soon as communication with Earth is a little more difficult at night. I will send someone to get you at sundown." Marco nodded and thanked 13, and then followed 6 out of the room. But it was only after the alien had left him in his quarters, a much more human-sized room, in fairness, that Marco realized he had never formally accepted the patronage. For that matter, He'd never been shown the terms of it in the first place.
Legal shenanigans.
You think that's a good spot to leave it for the week?
I think that might be an excellent place to stop for the week. It sounds like your voice could use a break. So
A little bit.
why don't we take a break for a couple minutes, and I am going to hopefully set up the shenanigan, fingers crossed, and we will be back in a couple of minutes. Remember, there will be a countdown for when we return, so if you see the Be Right Back sign and there's no numbers yet, you have at least 60 seconds. And we'll see you, oops, I pushed the wrong button, on the other side.
You see, now the image of Tim Curry dunking on fools, yelling, yes, nothing but net, is going to live in my head rent-free forever. Thank you for that.
So apparently there was an audio issue, so I'm getting... Oh, gosh. Now I've messed up my microphone.
It's Fandering time.
We're gonna do this live, so hang on, everybody.
Do it live.
Apologies in advance if something goes horribly, terribly wrong.
I'm laughing already.
Go ahead and put your headphones on.
Does it have the music? It has the music. It's so good.
Alright. Is everybody ready? Why don't you introduce...
Dream Avatar.
Hold on a second. Let me get...
All right, everybody. That's right. We are going to have Alistair play Dream Avatar trailer for
Would you
Shenanigans
like to
today.
play a game?
Would you let everybody know what this is real quick?
For those of you who don't know, about 2 years ago, a very, very good dating simulator called Dream Daddy was released, in which
2 years?
just a couple, if not more.
Screw you!
I know, right?
Oh no!
In which you are a gay guy who has a kid, and you have to work out which one of your possible boyfriends you should go for. And the answer is obviously always the adorable, like, bear dude. Moving on. This
Looks
is
significantly to camera.
this is basically that, but for the Magnus Archives, and it is
2017, Zolia!
oh my
Bloody
god,
hell, I'm getting old. Oh my god.
it's a 4-year-old game.
We must move swiftly on.
Okay.
Very, very swiftly.
So we're gonna play this, and we'll do the voices. It'll be fine. Let's go.
And by we mean you.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm guessing Trish, that's exactly what happened. Is unfortunately, this audio was not supposed to leak through during the Be Right Back screen, but it has. So, also you will need the keyboard at one point, but
All right.
mostly this will be a mouse interaction.
Okay, so I'm gonna hit start. We're doing this.
That's right. Here we go.
Welcome to the demo of Dream Avatar, a dating simulator where you get to interact with the employees of the Magnus Institute, and maybe more in the future. Disclaimer, this is a parody of Dream Daddy in the Magnus Archives. It is a small fan-made project to help fans cope while waiting for Arc 3, and all of these characters belong to Rusty Quill. Now, to begin the game, what is your name? Well, obviously Peter.
There we go.
I just moved into London. It's my first week. I've been excited to move into the city. I finally finished unpacking. I'm slated for my job interview to publishing house, which I've been eyeing long before I moved in. I feel a little nervous, but hopefully all the practice I miraculously managed to slip in between moving into the apartment works out. And yeah, the music is quite intense. Press.
Hopefully that's better. Wow, I didn't expect it to be that loud. I'm gonna turn it way the heck down then. Is that better, everybody?
Very good sitcom music. I keep expecting it to go, who's that girl? It's Jess.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Hopefully that will be okay for the sound. There we go.
Hey, it could have been worse. I could have done these so no one told you it was going to be this way.
I love you, but don't push it.
You complete me.
I love you.
Wendy's just like, Alistair.
Yeah, see? Exactly. Sorry about the noise, everybody.
I feel a little nervous, but hopefully all the practice I miraculously managed to slip in between moving into the apartment works out. Peter. Okay, it should be around here somewhere. I look around, searching for the building. I don't see the publishing house, and I squint to look at the street name. Shoot, where could it be? I looked for the building, and I was sure that it had been somewhere near here. I checked my phone again, but Suddenly, rain begins to pour from the sky. I reach for my umbrella, but realize in my hurry to head out, I had completely forgotten about it. Oh, crap. I try to blink away the raindrops. What? I race for the nearest open door. Without looking, I enter a building. The door closes behind me, and I try to shake off the rain. I finally look up and see the lobby of a library. This definitely isn't the address I was looking for. I check my phone and see that the job interview is slated in less than 10 minutes. Where am I? I look at my now rain-sodden clothes and mutter, maybe there's a dryer in the bathroom I could use. I eye one of the signs in the halls. I take a step as I shrug off the now damp jacket, and I feel a bump, and hear someone exclaim, "Excuse me?" In shock, I turn around. I look and barely see a man behind a mountain of folders, some of which threaten to topple over from the mild collision. Oh, I'm sorry. I reach over to try and help save the folders, but the man shrugs away. He looks at me with a deep-set frown. Watch where you're going. He walks away while muttering about something. A figure approaches you from one of the many halls of the lobby. Don't mind John, he hasn't had his morning coffee yet. I'm Tim. Are you okay? Tim reaches out his hand. He smiles, and my heart skips a beat. I shake his hand and hope he doesn't realize the slight blush. I'm okay. My name is Peter. I'm really sorry about that. I got caught up in the rain. This was the first building I saw. Look, I'm really sorry to bother you, but where am I? Well, this is the Magnus Institute, home to the paranormal wonders and secrets of this world. Tim intones dramatically while waving his hands around, and I suppress a laugh. As much as I admittedly enjoyed the paranormal and cryptozoology, I was currently a little bit more concerned about making it to my job interview. Thank you. I don't want to disturb you anymore. I'll head out. But as I turn to look outside, I see the rain hasn't let up since I've entered. I sheepishly remember my lack of an umbrella. Tim also turns to look at the rain and gives a huff. I'm guessing also a ugh. Tim, phew. Looks like the rain isn't going to let up anytime soon. Seems like you're stuck with us. Might as well show you around. How do you feel about a tour? Really? A tour? Please. I'm always looking for an excuse to get away from the paperwork. I think John can handle some of it. I think of the scrawny man from earlier. I'm pretty certain he was more folder than man at this point, but going back out in the rain was also risky. I checked my watch and see I had some time. Maybe the rain would let up by the time I finished. Sure, why not? Well then, the grand tour of the mystical, mysterious Magnus Institute begins. Where would you like to go? Where are we going, chat?
Look at that. Options.
Break room, library, or artifact storage? We're currently playing as Peter, because, why wouldn't we?
We have 2 votes for artifact storage.
3. Artifact
3.
storage, let's die!
Alright, artifact storage it is.
Tim leads the way through the corridors of the Institute. We pass by other people. There was surprisingly quite a number of people, in fact, some muttering and others deep in books. He stops in front of a door and pushes it with great effort. With a huff, it opens. Here we are at the great artifact storage, home of the strangest objects you've ever have seen. Normally, we're not allowed to bring visitors here, but as long as we don't get caught by Elias, we'll be fine. I look around the so-called artifact storage. As Tim says, it's filled with all sorts of things, and they seem innocent enough, but I feel a strange, eerie feeling. I shudder. It feels like a ghost could pop up any minute, and... Tim, what are you doing down here? A figure suddenly approaches us, and Tim turns around. Sasha, my darling! I'm just here to give my new friend a tour. The question is, what are you doing back here in your old stomping grounds? Just here to visit Sonia. John had asked me to look into this one artifact. Oh, and I had a spare brownie. I did do Sasha in the Elias voice. Sorry, sometimes you roll the dice. Ah, yes. Peter, meet the fabled brownie deliverer, Sasha James. That's me. Hello, Tim's new friend. Sasha smiles and reaches out to give a handshake. Oh, do we greet or flirt, chat?
If the chat doesn't elect to flirt with everything in the Magnus Institute, I'm going to be surprised. I think you should take flirt as the default action. Let's live dangerously.
Brownie Deliverer, I think you're an absolute goddess. Good lord, really? Sasha blushes and then laughs. Tim, where'd you find this one? They're quite the charmer. I sheepishly laugh and, I assume, found myself. I got caught in the rain, but now I think I'm caught in your arms. Creepy. I pretend to swoon as Sasha blushes. She laughs again. She has 2 goals. Flirt or die. Possibly both. I never thought I would be serenaded in artifact storage of all places. Sasha smiles, and I feel my heart melt. Well, mysterious stranger, if you ever get trapped in here by rain again, I hope to see you. Sasha gives a wink and leaves the artifact storage, and I assume devolves into a pile of worms the moment she does. Tim gestures out. I think that's our cue too. Let's head out. Break room or library, folks?
Lots of votes for the library. Let's do the library.
Lots of votes for the library. Also, I'm sorry about the worms thing. I'm actually not. The libraries it is.
This is a very literate crowd. Look at all these votes for the library. Oh, you won't make me proud.
We walk through one of the halls and enter a doorway. I find myself in front of hundreds of shelves, stacked to the brim. Now this is the star of the show, these dusty old books, full of paranormal incidents and cursed collections. For example, this one. Tim reaches over and pulls out a book from the shelf closest to him. He coughs as dust flies from it. Tim clears his throat and pretends to fasten a non-existent tie. This one is called Demons, Daemons, and You. Fun book, that one. I laugh and then hear a hush from another aisle. I sheepishly apologize and then go back to the looming bookshelf in front of me. Okay, then how about this one? I pull out a book myself and comically squint my eyes. The book is worn, but the binding seems to have stayed mostly intact throughout the years. I began to read the cover when someone suddenly takes it out of my hands. John appears again from behind one of the bookshelves as I jump in shock, and he grabs the book.
Dun dun dun!
Don't. I don't know how it got here, but it's got more bark to its bite than it appears. Tim does a dramatic bow and gestures to John. Here he is again. Our lovely boss, Jonathan Sims. John, this is Peter. John turns his frown-adorned gaze towards Tim. I give out a sigh as his surprisingly piercing look is off of me. Tim, you know this isn't a touch museum. Make sure not to give your guest here the wrong idea. Flirt. I'm guessing we won't flirt, right?
If you don't flirt, I will be cross.
Today's agenda, touch museum. Oh, Peter, come on. Raise your game. But can we keep in touch? John begins to blush, sputters before frowning again. If Tim set you up for this, it's not going to work. Tim puts up his hands in defense with a look of innocence. I swear I didn't do it, boss. I'm sorry if I made you feel uncomfortable. John clears his throat, blushing yet again. Well, this is not the proper place to flirt. I need to get back to work. John takes the book you were holding, and as John is about to walk away, you call out to him. I really do mean it. I hope we see each other again. And you yeet me into the sun.
Hush now.
You think you see a blush, but John rushes away before you can double-check. We must enjoy it to the flirting room. Tim looks astounded as he looks at John's receding figure. He looks back at you with shock in his eyes. I don't think I've ever seen the Jonathan Sims that flustered. Respect your skills, Peter. Anyway, let's get back to the tour, shall we? Where would you like to go? I'm guessing it's the break room.
Break room.
The break room, sure thing. We can also grab a snack while we go there, or Tim has a mischievous look on his face. I've got something to show you. Come on, let's go to the cafe. Tim leads the way down the long, winding corridors. He pushes open a door at the right, and the scent of freshly brewed tea wafts through the air. I can hear humming coming from inside the break room. Tim looks over at me as he opens the door. He raises a finger to his lips and winks.
Censors.
Hey, Martin! The man in the break room, Martin, I guess, jumps and nearly drops the mug he was holding. Tim, come on! Almost dropped my favourite mug. Tim gives Martin a look of feigned hurt. Not in front of our guest, Martin. Martin finally notices me standing there awkwardly and blinks with surprise and introduces himself. Hello. My name's Martin. Martin Blackwood. Flirt. Hi there, cutie. The name's Peter. Martin's eyes...
Come on. I think you could do that a little more, Peter.
Martin, I find you attractive. Martin, come back.
Oh, God, that's going to be a clip.
Martin's eyes widen in shock and he nearly drops the mug again. Would you like some tea? Feel free to stop by. Sorry about him. Tea is his love language. I smile. Martin, I think we're a match made in heaven. Martin?
It's
Martin!
a dad joke,
I think we're a match made in heaven.
God.
It's a tea joke, Martin.
Oh, God.
Because you like tea.
Oh, God, that's going on the TikTok. Oh, God.
Tim groans while Martin deeply blushes yet again. I suppose we're meant to be. You're about to launch another flirt tea pun when Tim speaks again. You lovebirds can get a room later, but first, let's get back to the tour. I wave at Martin, who shyly waves back at me.
Okay, TikTokers, I need this. This audio is going to have to make its way to TikTok so that people can duet this. Oh, my God.
I hope it won't be oolong before we meet again.
Peter, stop it!
Alright, I got one more place for you. If you agree to help me prank Elias, hello? Tim immediately straightens up. For a brief second, you see the briefest glance of a whoopee cushion. A figure descends down the hallway. Tim. Is this a statement giver? Or... Tim laughs nervously. You're not so sure, but he's doing a better job at concealing it than you are. This man's gaze is scrutinizing, like he's looking for something. No, not at all, boss. This is just a friend of mine. They're just visiting. Well, hello. My name...
This is the part where we broke in on poor Anil and Mikey with, "Unhand my husband!"
My name is Elias Bouchard. I am the head of the Magnus Institute. And you are? Hello, my name is Peter. Elias seems to ponder for a moment, then, with a gleam in his eyes, his mood seems to lighten. You know, we currently have a job opening. The Institute has experienced some unexpected departures. We have a reputation to maintain.
Such mysterious turnover.
A job opening? I suddenly remember the job interview. I check my watch and see I'm 5 minutes late. I repress a groan. I doubt that I can salvage that with a mere phone call. Would you be interested in applying? Show me the husband, Michael. I look up in shock. What? Sorry, what? What position do you currently have available? Well...
Sorry.
We have an archival assistant position open. You would be able to work alongside Timothy here. It's good to know a familiar face, yes? So, what do you think? Hell to the yes. Maybe I should just go for it. Carpe diem and all that. And everyone here seems so nice. Well, except John, because fuck him. Yes. How can I apply? Elias shakes his head. It's simple. All you have to do is sign these papers.
No.
There's a screaming lawyer echoing through the room right now. Elias hands over a clipboard with papers that he just happened to have on him. Had he been carrying it around this entire time? I feel shocked for a second.
Do they say divorce across the top?
Is that it? Well, I would also like to see how you perform. Come in tomorrow by 8 a.m. Until next time. Elias turns and leaves. I release a breath I did not realize I had been holding. Sorry about Elias, he tends to be very dramatic. I swear he was a theatre major once. On the brighter side, he looks like we're co-workers. Well, I should probably get back to work. I think I can begin to hear a John tirade coming on. Sure enough, I think I hear footsteps. I'll hold off the cavalry. You should save yourself. See you tomorrow, partner. See you tomorrow. I turned to leave and pushed open the doors of the Magnus Institute. I felt a little bit of joy. Perhaps this strange place wasn't as bad. This is the end of the demo of Dream Avatar. Thank you for playing.
Oh my god, this is a thing of glory.
Perhaps this place isn't so bad. They're all dead.
Shall we go back to the big old camera?
Yes.
But you need to shut down the game.
Okay.
Because otherwise the music will bleed over. So, hang on.
So that happened.
So that was fun. I'm sorry I interrupted you, but some of that is just straight up porn lines. Oh.
And the nature of Elias, the pause, well, I have to see how well you perform. It just, I think that was the point where you went, bow chicka wow wow.
Oh, man. Oh, that was a very, very good serotonin fix. And Martin with all his T-pun flirts.
Oh, bless him.
Oh, bless his little cotton socks. Oh, that was a heck of a shenanigan.
And that's our show, folks.
Oh God, I haven't done any of the getting ready to end the stream stuff. I'm sorry.
I'll vamp briefly.
Vamp.
We will be back on Sunday between 10 and 12 p.m. PM. 10 and 12 a.m. will be much more upsetting.
I love you dearly, but we're not streaming at 10 o'clock at night on a Sunday.
Where we will not be playing Deliver Us the Moon, because we got a little bit further into Deliver Us the Moon last week, and it pulled a bait and switch on us. And there are very few things which annoy me enough to just quit a game. But again, going, you have a time delay to get through this very dangerous area. Unlimited supplies, and here's some of your supplies, and
And now you're dead. So we stopped playing that.
And we just did goose crimes for a little bit. I think what we're probably going to do is a very weird, very cool French game called The Council, which is a wide variety of historical figures are invited to a mysterious island fortress where they have dinner together and murder occurs. And it is...
like civilized people do.
Yes. 8 a.m. breakfast. 8:30 a.m. murder.
No, you have to do that a little more dramatically. Murder. You know, full on Kate Blanchett telling you how to walk, right?
Or in the style of every 1980s hard-bitten Glasgow cop show, murder. And you have to investigate. And I've played some of it before. It's a really, really cool game. It's very dialogue heavy. There are limited quick time options, but the vast majority of it you can actually take your time with, and it's all about observation and kind of semi-passive gameplay. It's really good fun, so we're going to give that a try, I think. Then we'll be back here next Wednesday for part 2 of Marco and the Red Granny.
Hey, I'm going to have to find another shenanigan.
How do you top that, though?
Well, see, that's the thing about this community, is you give them an inch and they give you a mile. And
in the best way.
You were looking at a TikTok earlier today of Fozzie Bear being drawn in your I'm the Captain shirt. So
good. You know. Oh my god. And yet, Silver, thank you. I do have a Ko-fi, which I don't mention enough. So if you did enjoy tonight, and if you can afford to throw some coffee money in the tip jar, that would be great. I will put it in the stream show notes, which are pre-prepared and include details of the vast array of podcasting that Mer does. As
Mer
well.
is in the Podcasting Hall of Fame.
She is in the Podcasting Hall of Fame, legitimately. Yeah, there's some other stuff in there too that's good. So yeah, that.
Thank you. More than an inch. Heyo.
Giggity, giggity.
All right. And with that, we'll do the wrap up. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. And we will see you next time.
See you later, folks.